Have you ever heard Indian classical music and felt something, but also felt like maybe you were missing something, like you didn't know where to even begin? Well, today we're going to take a look at a really unique newsletter called ICMNote. It's designed to swing that door wide open for absolutely everyone, making this incredibly soulful art form feel totally welcoming and accessible.
And this, right here, is the promise from the get-go. It's not about turning you into an expert overnight. Not at all. It's about creating this little corner of the world for pure curiosity, for connection. And that warm, inviting philosophy is really what makes the whole thing feel so different.
So, what is it that makes ICMNote so special? Well, it all comes down to where the whole idea came from. And trust me, this is not a story that starts in some fancy music school or a grand concert hall. It begins somewhere way more personal and honestly, pretty unexpected. Yeah, I want you to just kind of push aside that image you might have in your head of a child prodigy practicing for hours and hours in some formal setting. This journey begins in a much more grounded, everyday place, one that's probably really familiar to a lot of us.
That's right, the founder, Chaitanya Pathak, traces his very first musical memories back to being a little kid, just holding on to his father as they rode through the countryside on a motorcycle.
Can you just picture that for a second? This wasn't some polished, perfect performance. It was a dad singing from the heart, his voice just becoming part of the journey soundtrack. This is music in its purest form, not for an audience, but just for the sheer joy of it. And that, right there, is the key. As a kid, he wasn't sitting there analyzing the notes or trying to figure out the raga. He was just feeling something beautiful. That raw, emotional connection is the bedrock for everything ICMNote is about. This quote from him just sums it all up perfectly. It wasn't this big, conscious choice, but a completely natural process of just getting involved. And that idea that you let the music teach you, that is such a powerful and freeing concept, and it totally shapes the entire newsletter. So you can see how that origin story, that very personal beginning, leads right into the core philosophy of ICMNote. And it's this belief that makes it such a one-of-a-kind guide. It's all about removing the pressure and the intimidation right from the start. I think we've all been there, right? The newsletter speaks directly to this feeling. You hear something profound, it really touches you, but at the same time, you feel like you're missing the point because you don't have the technical words to describe it. It's like you're on the outside looking in. And this is the big, liberating message at the heart of ICMNote. It's basically a permission slip to just experience the music. Your emotional response, that's the most important part of listening. And for anyone new to this world, that is a total game changer. I just love this shift in perspective. It reframes the music completely. It's not some academic subject that you can pass or fail. It's a deeply personal experience. It's not about getting it right. It's just about showing up and really listening. Okay, so that philosophy sounds great, right? But how do you actually do it? How does it translate into practice? Well, the newsletter doesn't just talk about these big ideas. It gives you a simple, concrete first step you can take literally right now. Here it is. This is the very first invitation they offer. And just look at how simple it is. There's no complex theory, no required reading. It's just you, the music, and 5 minutes of your time. It feels so much more like a gentle welcome than some kind of assignment. And see, it all comes back to that core philosophy. The point here isn't to break it down and analyze it. It's to simply notice your own internal response. What's happening in your body, your breathing, your heart. It's about building your own personal relationship with the sound. All right, so you've taken that first step. What's next? What does the ongoing journey with ICMNote actually look like? Why is this a newsletter worth following? Well, it's all about building a consistent, gentle practice of listening and learning together. And the journey just keeps unfolding from there. You get practical things like recommendations for ragas for specific moods. You get these fascinating stories that bring the music to life, and you get a safe space to ask all those beginner questions you might have. It's basically a roadmap for your curiosity, built around a real sense of community. And then the newsletter ends by turning the question back to you. See, this isn't a one-way street. It's the beginning of a dialogue. By asking what brought you here, ICMNote invites you into the very conversation it was created for, making this whole journey a shared one, right from the very first note.